Hello everyone, how you doing? And welcome back to Skye and Evan in the morning. And today we're gonna be talking about My Dinner with Andre, a very unique movie from 1981. Evan, you seem to have liked it.
I did. There's not many movies like this. It feels so unique from like some might call it boring in that regard, but it's just the opening narration reminded me so much of what it's like reading a book where you just are following one character and you're just in their head and they're just talking about their life. And it goes into more detail than you would imagine. And the dialogue is the same, where there's these long trains of thought that just go on and on for minutes, and the characters just listen to each other. And
I mean, the first
it's
like
it's
40
hard to
minutes of the
compare it to
movie
anything.
is basically just Andre talking, and then every now
Yeah.
and again we just see
The,
a reaction shot from Willie.
That was that was something that stood out to me, was how much they'll hold the shot. Because
Yeah.
exactly that. There's only a handful of times that they'll even just cut back to his face and just show him listening to Andre for the and when he interjects, at least in the first half of the movie, give or take, it's just these slightest, so what happened then, or
Yeah.
what else did you do? And he just keeps the conversation going because Andre's the talkative one.
Yeah, at least for the first part of the movie until
Hmm.
we get to them actually talking to each other quite a lot. It's super interesting. It's it is such a, a weird movie, and it is not really a famous movie. It didn't like make the rounds, but you can kind of see that you can kind of see
Well,
why
so
it's part of the Criterion Collection now, because it is such a unique movie, and it says so much while just being like two characters just talking to
yeah,
each other for an hour and a half.
and it feels so personal too. I did not know that Wallace Shawn, and forgive me, the on
I forgot his last name.
Andre Gregory. It's not that hard to
Gregory.
remember.
Yeah.
Andre Gregory and him, they wrote the script together, and it reminded me a little bit of like Goodwill Hunting, where it just the actors wrote, like, were part of the writing process, and like watching the movie, there's something that feels more authentic about it. It feels like it's actual people that are making it, which is a funny thing to say about movies, but you know what I'm talking about. It's like it's a little closer to the actors' hearts, it
Yeah.
seems, and the script is definitely, because I mean they say they just use their names. They seem to be playing a
Themselves,
fictionalized version of
basically. Yeah.
themselves. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, even because, like you said, like it feels like it was made by people, and there's even a point in the movie where Andre's talking about like the superficiality of like theater in the current day for them, in the 80s, and
Well,
how, and I was just thinking like, man, this feels exactly like what someone would say about AI being used in today's day for like filmmaking, and
well,
how that's stripping
it's
away humanity off it.
it's so ironic, isn't it? This is just a conversation two men are having in 1981 about very relevant topics. It just
Hmm.
relates to theater, and it's like these same conversations they're happening nowadays. It's
Yeah.
just, and again, that like disconnection. Like I don't know about you in terms of like macro readings of the movie, but I saw it as almost a debate between spirituality and like realism, or I'm not even sure what I would describe Wally's like view on the world as, but he's got a very traditional, like, you know, way of looking at life, kind of a small town attitude, and
Yeah.
it's about the clash between those, at least how I saw it.
I can kind of see that, but I also think like they both understand each other so much, so well, like when they're talking and respect each other's point of view,
Yeah,
that I don't
because
really think it's like a clash. I don't know. It's hard to describe.
no, because they're old friends. It's just a matter of like the ideas that are being thrown on the table, because a lot of it with Andre feels like spirituality. He almost like joins a coven, and he travels the world, and he's got all these elaborate stories and all these elaborate roles that he played. And it's it's interesting, like how he talks and how they like how he acts, because so much of it feels spiritual, even though he never really references any kind of god, or like that he or even religion, but there's
Yeah.
something about it that feels like how spirituality
Well,
is or
yeah,
how it affects
it's
people.
a conversation they have especially towards the end where he says it's like that relationship with death, that just like doing nothing brings you closer to death because you're just alone with death at that moment, which I thought was such an interesting way
I
to put it.
Very interesting description, and I loved Wally as well, like, getting uncomfortable to that. He said, like, "I can pass any test, but this one, like, sitting still
Yeah.
is a test that he can't pass," and it's it's the funniest thing that they let it like, the ideas of this movie just get laid out by Andre in, like, the first half, give or take, and Wally doesn't, like, interject too much until later on, but they they keep it entertaining through and
Yeah.
through. Just I think it's largely because of Andre Gregory's performance. He's
I was
so
gonna say he's
charismatic and
the
just
I
my
nothing
god.
against Wally, but Andrew Gregory's performance was really, really like the best of the movie. He was really good.
Well, I haven't seen him in much. I don't know if like he's I don't know much about him admittedly. I'm guessing he did more like play work than like films,
Hmm.
but um not as like and that's the other thing I laughed at is because I've always loved Wallace Shawn, but
Hmm.
let's be honest with ourselves. He's known for Toy Story and then like maybe above that, The Princess Bride, and it's just like he's not too well known of an actor, but it was cool just seeing him as like the main character of this movie, and especially back in '81. It's like he's good, and it's interesting to see him in a role like this.
Yeah, he's in Mr. Robot as well, if you remember. He's
Oh
the one
yeah,
who interrogates.
tiniest little
Yeah,
role.
he's
Yeah,
in one scene where he interrogates what's his name?
oh my god, how am
Tyrell
I
Wellick. Tyrell Wellick.
yeah, of course.
I was thinking of the actor's name.
Golly.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I don't. I think we kind of get into a habit of picking movies that are hard to talk about because it is a like it is literally two people talking for an hour and 15 minutes. Um,
Well yeah, like, I mean, the best you can do is pluck out individual conversations or, like, details of it.
yeah,
Something that I feel like this is definitely there on purpose is all the extremist language that Andre uses. He keeps throwing out references to the Nazi Party and
yeah,
World War II, and there's the reference to the Hindu swastika,
uh-huh.
which I actually don't know much about that. I want to read into that, but I I did find it interesting that even though, like I described, that Andre seems like the more spiritual of the two, like he also will he seems to have like extreme views, like political views, and they seem to be influenced by World War II. I mean, this was back when that was fresher in people's
Yeah,
minds, but
yeah. I mean, the big
I
part of what he says is like in um reaction, I guess, to uh like the Nazis and how it's just like he sees it obviously as that like this whole awful thing that kind of shapes his entire like worldview. It's interesting.
yeah. Well, and in that description as well at the end about like Manhattan being or like why don't New Yorkers leave New York, and
Yeah.
he described it as like a concentration camp built by the prisoners, and it's this is the thing. There's so many eyebrow raisers that Wally just rolls with, but I like they tell you a bit about Andre's character.
Yeah. And
He's got
honestly, it's like like it's the kind of thing that like it seems weird and far fetched, but it makes sense from the point of view of what he's saying because like the entire point of what Andre is talking about is that people are trapped within their own lives and of their own creations. Like he says, it's a concentration camp where the prisoners are the guards. So it's like obviously they're using New York as kind of like a metaphor for just like life in general, how like people just seem to trap
but
themselves in the like mundane or just going through the motions like they say about like living mechanically and everything like that. Like it is like a very interesting
yeah.
point of view from Andre that I think is really well explored.
I do love also that he gives Wally some room when he describes the idea of because that's what it becomes clear is you're like um Wally's going through the motions a little bit more, but he's got a girlfriend and he's like, he's got a job that he's happy with. The bills are stacking up, but he like tries to argue that like someone can live a fulfilled life, and Andre even gives him that olive branch, but it seems like intrinsically tied to love or like being related to another person. And
Yeah.
then the thing that snuck up on me at the very end was the waiter. I don't know if he actually has any lines of dialogue, but I realized at the
He
end,
does,
it's
yeah.
like they they're using him as the idea of someone dead inside. Because he there's all these direct shots of him where you'll get like a profile shot in the same way that you get with Andre or Wally. And he doesn't say much, if anything, but he always seems kind of cross because, Andre isn't really talking to him or dressing him and just, he's so distracted by everything. But I was like, I feel like that's supposed to be a metaphor for the bad version of both men, someone that's kind of just fallen in line, fallen old, and they don't seem happy about anything that they do. Like, they're a waiter. And I
Yeah,
don't know,
just
it could
going
be
through the
reading too much
motions.
into
No,
it,
I
but
definitely think that's
that
what it
felt,
is. Yeah.
yeah, especially at the ending and that
I mean,
little
yeah,
moment
there's a
where he just
point
takes a
where
drag of a cigarette. It's like,
there's a
yeah.
point why they all like look, like there's a lot of shots of him, and then at the end, like there's this specific shot of him looking at Wally, and Wally looks at him and just looks away. It's like he listened to the entire conversation, he paid attention to all of it, and he I think he feels like it hits a little too close to home, and that's kind of the thing. Um, it's interesting, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's even a thing that the Andre mentions of just like um I mean, yeah, there's even a line of just saying like, oh yeah, because of capitalism, we're just kind of like forced to play these roles in society, and it's literally what being a waiter like that is, especially like at his age, because he's clearly older. He's just like living out like his role of waiter, his role of making money, but not being fulfilled. And it is interesting because the entire movie is about that question of like meaning, finding meaning in life. Um, which I always love from like the point of view of like life is meaningless and that's how you derive meaning from it. Um, very like
Yeah.
everything ever all at once is my favorite case of doing that, but this film kind of does it too, especially with Wally, because he's talking
Yeah, in
about how like
microcosm, honestly.
yeah, it's like Wally talks about how meaningless I guess like the stuff that Andre did was, and how he managed to find meaning from
Yeah.
it. And
Coincidences that he
yeah,
perceives and, connections that Andre sees that he doesn't see. It's just, yeah.
yeah, yeah, which is so interesting to just maybe not think that the universe has something planned for you, but that you're like you're like perceiving these little moments as all meaningful instead of just like going through the motions, which is I guess the biggest like argument the movie makes is that like living really is not going through the motions. You need to like experience life. Like Andre even says like you can be married. I was married for my wife with my wife for 18 years and I never really saw her, which was like, man, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I do find that an interesting thing about life in general is that I do feel people have a tendency to be complacent. I mean, that's something that a lot of people don't appreciate is you can quit your job. Like some people just hate their job and they just stick with it. And it's like you can quit and you can try to find something else. Like it might be hard, money might be rough for a while, but you can change your life. You can change the things that are there. I mean, it does there's bad ruts to fall into, but there's always options. And sometimes people don't go with like the options they have. They just stick with what they know, and sometimes to a bad degree. But I don't think the movie is presenting Wally like that. That's what I liked is I was worried it was going to be some sort of like he walks out of there and he's like changed. He's like, I'm so, but he doesn't. He takes a taxi ride home because Andre paid for the meal so he can treat himself a little bit. And then as he's driving along and just seeing the shops on the road, he's just like everything's familiar to him. He's remembering like buying a suit with his dad and all these memories. And it's like again with the small town attitude, just he just kind of is like, you know what, I driving through, and he goes home to his girlfriend and just tells him all about his dinner with Andre, which I love that. Just ending line, and then the movie just stops. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that's bold move. Interesting stuff.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because, like I said, it's not like he's changed. Like he feels a sense of, I guess he feels like a different sense of meaning, I guess, from like life in general, just like understanding, like he says,
Yeah.
like seeing everything and being like, oh, like all the memories and everything, like that.
Yeah, maybe he, like, appreciates it a little bit more. He
Yeah,
just didn't he saw it, but just didn't, like,
really see it, I
it wasn't
guess,
something that yeah.
before.
I
That's the thing they always say, that they say a lot in the movie. And that is just like, it's just that. It's like it was a meaningful night for me. Um and I'm just gonna tell my girlfriend about it, and that's the end of the movie. Like we don't really get like like an epilogue, I guess, of seeing how he changed. We just, or if he changed at all. It's just like the conversation is meaningful on its own, and just like the
yeah.
viewer,
Well,
or
I
just like
mean
Wally, the viewer is gonna like interpret it and be changed by it whatever way they want. It's really
well,
interesting.
honestly, the opening, like, give or take, like, 5 minutes, and then the last, like, give or take the same amount of time, maybe 3 to 5 minutes building to the credits. They're almost just like a means to an end. You need an opening to this movie and an ending, but the whole movie really just is this one dinner. And you described it. I read into it a little bit before I got into it, but it's probably the most impressive thing about this movie, just that is what it is. It's a over 90-minute movie where it really is just two guys having a dialogue, and they keep it interesting and entertaining, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I've seen 90-minute movies that bored me more than this
It's
movie that is like
yeah.
almost 2 hours long of just two characters talking. So
It's a testament to great performances, great blocking, and obviously great writing,
yeah,
so I it's all you need sometimes with a movie.
yeah, but yeah, extremely simple movie. It is it's like it's I've had this with a few movies where I watch
Well,
it and I just feel like I just feels like I watched something meaningful. I feel like it meant something to me personally. I had with that with like a ghost story, for example, or
oh,
everything
yeah.
ever all at once.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, a couple of the dialogue, moments with Andre that reminded me of, like, the fucking guy at the party that, like, is rambling about the universe and meaning, and it is the like I said, it's like 2 men have had this conversation long before Andre and Wally did, but it the I did find it funny how similar the movie's view on life reminded me just a little bit of a ghost story.
Yeah,
So, there's a lot of things
that
that
is
can do that.
interesting.
I mean, Everything Everywhere All at Once, similar conversation in that movie.
Yeah, yeah, everything I really wants is arguably my favorite movie of all time. So yeah, it's I just came out of it like I feel like I have a lot to think about, but it's hard to like say what it is. You know what I mean? Like it's a movie that just kind
Well,
of exists on its own and it's saying something about life, but isn't like saying it like, like 100% saying it. It's like
I think
letting you think for
part
yourself, I
of what
guess.
I think part of what cuts to that is this is like ramblings of two people. Like it's not so much like I was mentioning 12 Angry Men.
Uh-huh.
Like 12 Angry Men is a 90-minute movie, and it's 12 people just deliberating as a jury.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about that movie is there's like individual scenes because they try all these experiments. There's these specific elements of the case that they pick out. And there's dynamics between characters because there's 12 of them, But in this movie, it's harder to pick out individual scenes because all of Andre's ideas, they just connect to each
Yeah.
other, and
I mean,
and
every
he just
part
keeps
of the
going and going
dialogue
and
just
going.
keeps going, and you're like, oh, so we were at this point, we were talking about like capitalism and fascism, and then now we're talking about like spirituality, and everything just connects, and it's not like you have like, because like you said, oh, we can mention specific conversations, but it's like one big conversation. It's kind of what I like about this movie as well. It's just it feels like two people having like a genuine conversation, that feels very real because it moves on organically and they understand what each
Well,
other's saying and they respect what each other's saying.
yeah, it's a testament to, like, how dialogue is written because it really and this is why it's actually so hard, like, if you haven't seen My Dinner with Andre, for one, huge recommendation,
Yeah.
uh, mid-review, but my god, if you haven't seen it, it's hard to explain what the dialogue feels like because people always say this about dialogue in movies, it's not supposed to sound realistic,
Yeah.
and when you really pay attention, like, dialogue in movies, it's purposeful, it's meant to have some sort of an edge to it where it's maybe funny or witty or interesting or efficient, but in this movie, this feels like how people talk. It's
Yeah.
just moving from train of thought to train of thought. There's not solid through lines. Everything just flows.
Yeah.
And
And part of what I really like about that feeling so like organic and real is just because the shots they linger on the actor so much they just go on like this huge uh it's hard to say it's a monologue because the entire movie is a dialogue, but like they go on they say they keep talking for like 2 minutes and they never cut away, they just let the
yeah,
actor
I,
act. It's fascinating. I mean both of the actors performances are so amazing because they it like they never stumble over their lines while talking for like 2 minutes straight about these very like complex thoughts about like existentialism. It's really really well made for a movie that's
well,
just two people having dinner.
well, and yeah, and the like the resting shots. I've referenced it before, but you gotta appreciate how long these takes go on with no break. And I, I am guessing that Andre really did like remember these lines. I was wondering about it though. I'm like, my God, dude, how well did they know the script? It's hard to say, but the it's amazing stuff.
Yeah, genuinely, like I think one of the most impactful movies I've ever seen. I actually have a list on Letterboxd that's called that. I just remembered. Um, I guess I gotta add this to that. But man, man, what a movie!
Yeah, it's simple. They like something I was laughing at. There's a bunch of videos talking about this with movies, and I mean, it's even partly what the movie's about. Is like theater being they criticize the theater and they say like theater is dying, of course, and people are like film is dying now, but it's like, man, there is something so authentic about this movie. Like when you watch the opening scene and how grainy the whole movie looks, and again the long unbroken takes, it's like people like, why are there so many quick cuttings and moving around and all these different setups of actors nowadays? Like the simple answer is that like film was physically expensive back in the day. You had to get the shot right, but
Yeah.
nowadays with everything digital, you can just delete everything. And people, if this movie were made today, I guarantee there would be more cuts. There would be more moving
Oh no,
around. They would
yeah,
probably
there'd
be
be a lot
cutting
of
away
different
from the actors.
there'd be a lot of
Yeah,
different setups. It'd be yeah.
yeah, but this movie is just like a simple story about
Yeah.
two men sitting down,
Well, it's
and
kind of
it's
the thing as well, like saying that like the nowadays the movie would be like with a bunch of cuts. I feel like it's a movie that could only have been made when it was made. Like I don't feel like because like even though the topics of the
Well,
movie are still current, I don't think like that movie could happen today.
not really. They'd be talking about different yeah, like you said, the subjects, like the actual like themes of the conversation might be the same, but all things considered, it wouldn't
I yeah, I just think like just
it'd
like
be
the whole
different.
package of the movie couldn't exist as it does because it is kind of a product of its time. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I was laughing. The song, he said he taped the song, and I was just like, my God, dude. In a modern context, you just record it on your phone. And then
yeah.
he has a physical picture that he takes out. I'm just like, dude, the phones. It's just oh,
Yeah. I I'm kind of like shocked at
I,
how much I love the movie because
yeah,
it is
it,
so like simple. Like it's way too simple for it to be this good, and that's what shocked me, I guess.
yeah. I'm I'm not sure. We say in every episode how stupid we find ratings, but I'm not sure how high this hits for me because I got it. Like one of the things you could call a criticism, which I don't even think it's there. But I was wishing for more like of an actual dialogue in the first half of the movie, but I don't think it matters all that much because
I don't
Andre is
think
like
so.
just
Well, first
talking on
off,
his own is
his story
enough.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, his story is super
It-
interesting on its own. And I mean, part of the thing I love as well is just like everything comes back around. Like those stories
yeah.
he was telling in the first half of the movie, they are all relevant to the rest of their conversation. Um, and so I
Yeah,
think
nothing
like it kind of,
feels like dropped, like it was
yeah,
like a, "Oh, I don't know why that came up."
yeah,
Like and again, the whole you're still watching a movie thing, like these feel like random thoughts, but obviously it is kind of meant to tie together.
yeah, exactly. So it isn't the kind of thing where it feels like it needed to be much of a dialogue in the beginning, especially because like in the beginning of the movie, Wally's even saying like, "Oh, you know, I've been avoiding him and everything, so sometimes I feel like I'm a private investigator because he likes to ask people questions. He's good at asking people questions, but not. It is like part of his arc, I guess, in this movie to, I guess, figure out to, how to like answer these questions themselves, himself, you know. And so I think it kind of makes sense that he takes so long to just like reflect on what he's hearing and find some
Yeah.
meaning within it
On
instead of just like listening and going through the motions.
yeah, Andre almost has to wear him down. He has to like say things to him that make him question his own life and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and this is happening to me more and more when I'm watching movies. I'm like, I'm not sure where exactly I would put the rating, but it's it's a film unlike any other, really. Like the whole Criterion Collection, like it's just you ever watch a movie and it just stands out. It feels so unique and so different from everything else you've seen in movies. This is one of those movies. If you've never seen it and you're just a fan of good dialogue and good filmmaking and especially good acting, this is a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how long we've been going, but I think we made the most of that. It's if you see this movie, you know, like it's hard to
Yeah.
keep the dialogue going. I mean, God forbid, as much as they do.
Yeah. I I do think like around half an hour is like the ideal time because like for people who don't know, part of the inspiration for this podcast was regular media's half in the bag. That was kind of the idea I wanted, and that's kind of how long they go on for. Just like talking about the movie, be like, hey, at the end, do you recommend it? And I would recommend it very much, as would Evan. So yeah, and well, Evan, it is your turn to recommend something.
I see. Is this my first recommendation of the year?
It might be.
Or
Let me think, because we did
what was
Utopia.
before?
Uh,
Was it after that that we did the or holy shit, what was last week? How am I blanking? It
to be
was
fair, last week we didn't do anything because there was a week we missed.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
now we're a little
Yeah.
behind on the schedule. That's why this episode is out late as well this week, folks. My bad, our bad. I don't remember.
I
Hold on,
gotcha.
what were the last episodes? I think
I, I think it was a movie. How am I losing my mind? What the fuck was it?
there's you two.
It
Oh,
wasn't Bacurau.
Amadeus. Amadeus.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That was my recommendation.
yeah,
Okay.
Amadeus.
um. Okay. So second recommendation of the year. Another movie that I have not watched, but I've been very curious about it. Have you heard of David Cronenberg's Crash?
I have heard of it, but I've not seen it.
From what I understand, it is an erotic thriller about people that have been involved in car accidents and get a rush out of that. And that like sounds insane to me. Holly Hunter, I forget who the star is, but Holly Hunter is also in it, and I know precious little about it, but I have the Criterion Blu-ray, and I've been looking for an excuse to watch it, so that's my recommendation.
All right. Oh, it does sound like a Cronenberg type of story, to be fair.
I haven't I haven't watched a lot from him, admittedly, either. I've seen The Fly, but have you seen Videodrome? I
No,
haven't seen
I
that.
saw Crimes
It's
of the Future. The new one, by the way.
yeah, I heard that was pretty good.
It was
I've
good. I liked it.
been
It is kind of insane though, so but I
yeah,
liked it.
well, it's so funny how, like, Cronenberg fits a little more. So many people are making bold experimental movies, especially for, like, A24, so it's like it almost fits in.
Yeah. All right. Crash. What an insane synopsis. Car crash victim
Yeah.
suddenly finds himself turned on by car accidents and becomes involved with an underground subculture of like-minded. So this is like Fight Club for
Yeah,
car crash.
love it. I'm like, "Let's fucking go, dude." Car crash, like,
Car crash
dating,
fetish.
like yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Oh,
Let's fucking go. Yeah.
okay. Well, then we'll catch you next week with Crash, folks. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you watch My Dinner with Andre, because even though we spoiled the movie, I don't think you can be really spoiled for this movie.
Yeah, honestly, we talked about, like, the macro plot and some of the specific, like, it's insane, the stories that Andre tells. Like, I connected it to spirituality because of how wild and out there he gets, so check this out. It's a great movie, and you should not miss it, so
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll catch you next week then, folks.
catch you next week.
Bye bye.